Welcome, ladies and gents, to another must-see podcast of the PWC, and it is a review of the yellow brand NXT. And, with, a week to go, basically, 12 days, whatever it is, until NXT 36, TakeOver 36, this one felt, I hate to say it, man, but I think the rumors are true. NXT is dying, and it kills me because it's been fantastic for the last 2-3 weeks. Today was a blimp in the radar. Up and until the main event, I guess it was okay. Nothing really to talk home about. Nothing great. A little bit of progression towards TakeOver 36. We set up another match. But all in all, slightly disappointing to NXT. And it was so bad because we had such a promised from Raw that was going to be a good one, because it was one of the best Raws we've had in the last, forever. And NXT just didn't deliver it. But let's not dwell on that. Let's go into the review. Let's see how disappointing it really was. And before we do that, of course, you guys know, please click subscribe, please click notify, and tell your friends, parents, grandparents, lovers, haters, whoever you like. We're right now on PWC, and get all your reviews that you want on our wrestling show. And please, guys, tell everybody about it. We want to get the word out there. Let's go review NXT. NXT kicked off with some women's action. We had Dakota Kai taking on Sarai. Obviously, we learned just before the show that Ember Moon was not medically cleared to face Sarai. Rumors are that she had a dark match on Raw and picked up an injury against Aaliyah. Other rumors saying that they just pulled her for the sake of pulling her because it's NXT WWE. We don't actually know the whole story 100% as to why she was pulled, but in any way, she was not medically cleared. So the number one contender took on the undefeated Warrior of the Sun, Japan's own Sarai. And you know what? It was a damn good opening match. I thoroughly enjoyed it too. Well, not an underrated wrestler, because we know Sarai is good. I mean, we've seen her. She's been fantastic throughout the weeks. And, Dakota Kai is a underrated wrestler. She's a true, solid workhorse in the women's division for NXT. And I feel like they've underused her a little bit. I'm glad she's finally getting the spotlight. And, I think she might be the one to dethrone Raquel Gonzalez. Anyway, we had the match, and the undefeated streak of Sarai came to an end in a good, solid contest. And just before Dakota could celebrate enough, who else would arrive but Raquel Gonzalez, and cut a scathing promo on her former best friend. And she's ready for Dakota Kai at TakeOver 36. The match, again, itself was a good, solid opening match. It's exactly what you want when you start off a show. It's not going to be the main event blockbuster match that you're going to get later on, but it's enough to get you hooked and get excited for what's to come. Unfortunately, this is where the good stuff stopped for NXT today until, like I said, the main event. But yeah, well done to Dakota Kai picking up the victory, getting momentum. And I'm actually looking forward to the women's match. I think it's going to be a fantastic match for Dakota Kai and Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez at TakeOver 36. And just before we went into the ring, we had a backstage segment with Hit Row talking about how Legado del Fantasma has ruined their chances in total. They've just, every time they have something, these guys come up and ruin their opportunities, and they're putting them on notice. And good solid promo, got to the point. We knew that we were going to see them in action today. So, it kept the rivalry going, and it felt solid. It felt like it was from the heart almost, and it's weird to say for Hit Row, but it felt so genuine. I enjoyed it. And then, unfortunately, we went into the ring for a promo for Ilja Dragunov. Now, Ilja, English is not his first language, and we know this is not his first language, and he cut a promo, and it highlighted his poor form in the fact that his English isn't great. But you know what? It was good enough. It set the tone for his match against Walter at TakeOver 36. And then we had a surprise from the first ever UK champion, Pete Dunne, coming into the building and challenging Dragunov to a match later in the evening. I think Pete Dunne saved this promo a little bit. Much better on the mic, especially when it comes to the English language. But hey, nothing wrong with Dragunov. We know it's not his first language. We cannot hold that against him. And it set the tone nicely for their main event clash. Former NXT UK champion versus the #1 contender for the UK champion. And yeah, possibly you could even consider that if Dunne had won, would he get an opportunity at the UK championship? Maybe go back into that realm. There's obviously not much for him to do in the current landscape of NXT with Karrion Kross being tied up there and, you know, Hit Row having the North American title. Maybe that is a possibility for Pete Dunne, or maybe finally moving up to the main roster. We know he had a tease a little bit with a couple of Royal Rumble and Survivor Series matches that he had going for him. But maybe a proper full run in the main roster could be what's next for him. We'll discuss a little bit this more when we get to the main event. We then had our next match scheduled. It was LA Knight versus Andre Chase, the guy that lost in the Breakaway Championship not yesterday, last week, the week before. And yeah, basically LA Knight telling Cameron Grimes just before the match that he's the reason they lost to the Grizzly Young Veterans, and it's all his fault, and he's going to show you how to win. And to say that this was a squash match would be an understatement. Wow. So before I get into this match, I'm going to go a little bit right. So either A, WWE NXT gave absolute nothing for the NXT Breakout Stars this year, because none of them have had a match longer than 6 minutes, and all those that have either wrestled before, other than Carmelo Hayes, by the way, have actually had a decent run in the business. So none of them are actually doing anything at the moment. They're all being jobbed out, which is sad, because there's some really good talent in that one. And second of all, the fact that this man, Andre Chase, lost to LA Knight, who has only had 4 matches since coming into NXT, or 4 different opponents rather, since coming to NXT, he lost in a minute 33. A minute 33. Let that sink in. Now, I don't care what storyline you're in, you're trying to prove that he's the best, whatever. You are not a good wrestler. You're not being put over as a good wrestler if you win a match in a minute 33, because that means your opponent did nothing to make you look good. Unless you're in the levels of Brock Lesnar and Goldberg, there is a absolutely zero chance that this match was going to work at a minute 33. Right, now that I got that out of the way, I think the main point of this whole entire display was to have Ted DiBiase come out afterwards the match and tell Cameron Grimes that he's being an idiot for being a butler and he must stick true to himself, and then set the challenge that if LA Knight beats Cameron Grimes at TakeOver 36, not only will Cameron Grimes be the butler, but Ted DiBiase would be his butler too. However, if Cameron Grimes wins, he becomes the $1 million champion. So on the plus side, I like that they're making the $1 million championship title look to be like a legitimate title. I'm really annoyed at the fact that LA Knight beat someone in a minute 33 to justify the point that he can beat anyone in a minute 33. If you're going to beat someone in a minute 33, make it an unknown face, someone that we've never seen before. Don't make it someone who wrestled in a breakout tournament just a couple of weeks ago. It makes no sense. We then had another little vignette of Giga Dolan cutting off roses and mentioning females in the female roster. Obviously, she is in line to get a push according to vignettes, because that's what happens. And then from one bad squash match, we got probably a second terrible squash match, but terrible for different reasons. So this time we got the jobber that nobody's heard of. I think her name was Aysha Miller or something like that. Hasn't wrestled much in the wake of live TV, which is the correct way to do things. However, you put it against an opponent that we care absolutely zero about. We took on Giga Dolan, and she had Jane JC, whatever the name is, at ringside with her. 2 people that a couple of weeks ago were squashed by Frankie Monet in a relatively similar style that Giga did. So I don't understand the logic behind this one, how we're supposed to get behind somebody who not just too long ago got the whipping of a lifetime and nothing came of it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't get it, but apparently someone in WWE writing staff, someone sitting next to Shawn Michaels, I assume, in between Shawn and Triple H, is like, hey, you know what's a good idea? Let's take a jobber and let's make her face another jobber to become a non-jobber. So after 2 very disappointing squash matches, we got a little bit of an in-ring segment. We're going to get the contract signing of Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole 3. Now look, I'll be the first to admit, Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole have put on 2 fantastic matches. And I expected a third rubber match to take place. But I expected it to be done better. It doesn't feel any different to the way it is. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like we're getting something new from this match. And yeah, so it's going to be a 2 out of 3 falls match. Kyle O'Reilly got to choose the first option. Adam Cole got to choose the second option. And yeah, it looks like they basically chose exactly what they did the first 2 matches. So Kyle O'Reilly's reasoning to choose a straight up singles match is because he feels Adam Cole could never live with him if he had to win a straight up singles match, which he didn't, by the way. Adam Cole won that match quite cleanly as well. And then the second match, Adam Cole got to choose, and he chose a straight-up street fight for the exact same reasons as Kyle O'Reilly, which Adam Cole didn't win, and Kyle O'Reilly won. Did you see what they did there? Yeah. Anyway, the third fall, if needed, was chosen by William Regal, and that would be a steel cage. So at least we will be getting a third match. That's not. It's going to be a third fall, 100%. And I can tell you this now, mark my words, right here on, August 12th, what are we, 12th? August 11th is when I'm recording this, so August, the day after NXT. Mark my words, Kyle O'Reilly is going to lose the first match to Adam Cole. Adam Cole's going to lose the street fight to Kyle O'Reilly. We're going to have a cage match, and Kyle O'Reilly will win the cage match, sending Adam Cole to the main roster. We then got our first semi-final of the NXT Breakout Tournament, and following basically the same formula as every other NXT Breakout match we've had this season, it was a 5-minute match, but my boy won this one, so that's always good. We had Trey Baxter taking on Odyssey Jones. My boy picked it up, heading to the finals. It is Odyssey Jones taking on whoever wins next week's Breakout match. But yeah, I can't really talk much about it. About this match, it's general. Baxter got a little bit of momentum going. Odyssey Jones hit him with a couple of big moves, man. You know those big power moves that guys have, like splashes and stuff like that. So that was good. And that was the end of that. Literally not much else I can say about it. And this has been the general consensus when it comes to NXT Breakout Tournament. It has been exactly this. It has been 5-minute quick squash matches, and hopefully at TakeOver 36, where we get the finals, we get at least a 10-minute match. Because predicting it, Jones taking on Carmelo Hayes. Hayes probably will win it to TakeOver 36, but I'll get to that prediction next week. And then we got a match which seemingly came out of nowhere, really. Boa wants to prove that he is as strong as what Xia Li is, since Xia Li is now out injured. He wants to step up to the plate and prove that he is just as good, even better. And he landed up having a match with Drake Maverick, which ended in a distraction after he got mist in his eyes from Tang, what is her name? And yeah, that was very weird win for Boa. Yeah, I can't really say much about this match as well, because like everything in NXT this week, it's been pretty much 2-3 minute matches. I think they try to squash in too much content before TakeOver 36. Hopefully the go-home show next week is better, but winded better, better movement in the show. I feel like this one had a couple of unnecessary shows that just, they try to squash in like this Boa match. It makes absolutely no sense in the grand scheme of things. Why start something 2 weeks before TakeOver when rather do it after TakeOver, at least set up a proper storyline? But on the plus side, it gives Drake Maverick something to do. other than him fighting against Cameron Grimes or LA Knight, it's been pretty much downhill for Drake Maverick since Killian Dane left. And I'm sad. I like Drake. I've liked him since he was Rockstar Spud. So, yeah. It was main event time. Pete Dunne taking on Ilij Dragunov. I think it's saying else, I'm going to say it, in the main event. And what was a very good main event. A lot of NXT UK styles coming solid. I mean, Pete Dunne is a master of that style. He's brought it to the US and he's amplified it quite nicely. He's adapted it quite nicely for his style in the NXT US version. NXT UK, the best way to describe it, I don't want to say smash mouth, but it's very hard-hitting, very technical, and it's what Dragunov is good at. And he shouldn't be doing promos. Just let him wrestle, and he will be fantastic. The ending, a little bit predictable. I expected something like this. Walter came up on the screen. Dragunov got distracted. And, of course, Pete Dunne hit it, and it's done. It was finished as we said it there. And Pete Dunne picked up the victory. But sad. I was hoping Dragunov could have picked up the victory in his debut NXT match. But you know what? He put on a good display. He's set the setting stones of what's to come. And I hope that he does beat Walter, because I'd like to see Walter on NXT TV. Although I think he would probably move into a main roster debut. I don't know. I don't see Walter winning this one. I think if someone was going to beat him, I think Dragunov would be the one. And what this actually sets up is if Dragunov does win it, Pete Dunne has a legitimate say that he should be next in line for the UK Championship. He has a victory over Dragunov now, so that's something. Maybe ship him back to the UK. Maybe, the US audience hasn't really clicked so much with Bruiserweight, which I disagree. I think he's been brilliant. Probably one of the best wrestlers in NXT at the moment. But with the death of NXT coming quickly after this episode, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets shipped back to the UK, maybe even to a main roster. I don't know, but yeah. Good ending. Good start, good ending. And you know what? We had a good start, like I said. We had a good ending, like I said. But that's never going to be enough to save anyone from the vast scale. That's right, the vast scale. What does NXT get? A measly 5. Guys, there was not much to talk about it, and it's probably been one of the most disappointing wrestling shows in a good 10 years. I mean, I was bored. I found myself, sitting on Facebook half the time, or Twitter, or even going on TikTok for a little bit just to see something else, something exciting from these matches. They were dragging there. Even though most of them were like 5-minute squash matches, they felt like they were 3-hour squash matches. And it killed me because I love NXT so much, and I wanted it to be exciting, but even the exciting bits didn't get me excited, and I think the show, I think it proves the point that we kind of need Karrion Kross on NXT in a little bit. When every time he's been on it, we've had good shows. A lot of the big hitters, so to speak, which make the show interesting, weren't there this week. Guys like Frankie Monet wasn't to be seen. We had basically no tag team action at all. No Ciampa, no Toothless Timmy, no MSK, no Grizzly Young Veterans, no Karrion Kross, no Samoa Joe. And it shows, man. It shows when you don't have these heavy hitters, when it takes a lot out of it. And even like the opening match was fantastic, the ending match was fantastic. For me personally, the vignettes with The Way were great. I mean, I love Johnny Gargano, Candice LeRae, Indy Hartwell, and Dexter Lumis. You can put them in just staring at a screen, and I'll love that. But there was not enough of that to help this show breeze along, unfortunately. Anyway, till next time. Hopefully we get a better NXT next week. Peace! And chicken grease.